Hello, Taurus. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn. Supportive Oracle cards, Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen. There's Gretchen's last name. That way, if you want to find any of those artists, you can easily find them. Okay, what do we have here for Taurus? I'm not seeing really anything bad on your side, but I do see some unexpected things, I should say. You seem to be handling, I don't know, your energy is going really well. I'm getting there's an abrupt moment, but you seem to be really doing well with it. Let's get to it to find out why. Because you really, I think of Taurus as very steady, very dedicated, very, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then when something comes off from the left, it's kind of like, oh no. But in this case, it's just like, it's kind of like somebody's throwing this curveball out of nowhere, and you're just kind of like, you catch it, and you just keep going and keep going. Like, you seem to handle it extremely well. So I'm like, let's see what's going on here, because I'm really kind of excited about this. Going into, see, like the first card makes me feel good about this too. The Seven of Cups going into this. And this might be why. This makes sense to me for Taurus. You're going into a situation with a lot of possibilities. But right off the bat, you know that's going to happen. You're just like, okay. It's almost like going into a house and you, like, I don't know, like you have a new significant other. It's almost like going into that. I have a new partner and they got 5 kids. And you know you're going into this madhouse. You're like, I know it's crazy. I know it's going to be crazy. And you're also right on point. Like, you're like, and I'm not going to be able to have control of it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you're like, all right, it's a madhouse I'm going into, but I want to be there. And it's going to work out. I'm just going to handle it the best way I can. It's just going to be a madhouse. But you're like on point about it. You're like, yeah, I know it's going to be here. I'm preparing myself. I'm all together about it. Now, the situation you're going into, the Princess of Cups with the Three of Swords, there's problems. This is in the environment, though. There's problems here. There's a lot of problems. And there's people who have really, they want things to go better, but they don't seem to know what to do about it. Even though your help is wanted and needed, you still are on the reality train. You're on the reality train, kind of like, no matter what I do, how much I help, it's still going to be all over the place. Hopefully it's going to go better. Hopefully we can get some organization to this chaos, if that's the thing. But it's still going to be crazy. I'll do what I can, but it's still going to be crazy. And somebody seems really down about the situation, kind of like they know it's crazy and they just don't seem to have control of it. And you're kind of like, yeah, we're not going to have control of it, but we can do better. Maybe we can't get it completely under control, but we can do better. You've got a lot of thought going into this, and you've got this Nine of Pentacles talks to me about stability and being happy with the situation for what it is. And that means to me kind of like when you're going into it, you're like, yeah, this is a crazy thing. This is mayhem. This is crazy. But you're seeing the potential. Again, can't get it. It's not going to be nice and neat and orderly. It's never going to happen. No. It's going to have a degree of craziness. It always will. But you're seeing right off the bat, we can make that a little better. We can do this a little better. We can change that over here. This can go better over here. Still going to have its ups and downs. Still going to have its wild card moments. But it can go better. And you have a very strong feeling about that. It can go better. It's not going to be perfect, though. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. It's almost like your mantra. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. You seem to keep pulling in this energy with you. Very strong, very good. Okay. The next part, this might be the hardest part in this whole reading. Queen of Swords on your side. It's kind of like where you have to start whipping the system into shape. It's kind of like starting with that piece of hard clay. Like if you've ever worked with clay, when you first get that block of clay, it's just kind of like you're beating it against the table. It's really hard to get going. But the longer you work with it, the more malleable it gets. But it's still clay. That's the thing. It's still clay. No matter what you do, it's still going to be clay. So you're like, all right, what can I do with this clay? There's only certain things I can do with it. I got to work with it. I got to get it moldable. I just want it to mold a little better. It's kind of like clay in a situation where you want wood or you want metal. It's like, I can't have wood. I can't have metal. I guess I got clay. Let me see the best I can do with this clay. But I got to get it working first. I got to work with it. It's hard to get into the situation. It could be dealing with people because Queen of Swords is about communication. Not just thought, but communication. So you could have some snafus with people. People might be a little bit grumpy about the changes or things you want to do. It's one of those things you just got to keep working at it, keep trying. I feel like you're trying to work with people as much as you can, but there's a degree of like, listen, we got to change things. You got to do it the way I want you to, at least a little bit. So you're working with it. People are having a hard time. It's very interesting because a stubborn attitude can work to your benefit, but when you're going up against it, it's almost like you understand that attitude. You understand how that stubbornness happens. And you also realize, usually Taurus has their own version of stubborn. You know what that is if that's there. But that's actually your asset in this situation, because you knowing how that goes. You're like, oh, sometimes I'm stubborn. How do I get out of that? And some of you are immediately clicking in, I get out of that when I want to get out of that. Nobody tells me to get out of it when I don't want to be stubborn anymore, then I move out of that as I choose. But I don't allow people to push me off my mark if I don't want them to. And you might be seeing this with somebody else, kind of like, there's only so much I can do. I can relate to what they're doing. I can relate to this stubbornness. So I guess maybe I'll just back off from them for now and just kind of hopefully relieve some of the stress so that they can think about it on their own and they can come to it on their own. I'll just keep leaving the door open, but leave them alone so that they can come to their own moment of stepping out of this stubborn moment. Because sooner or later, I'm getting they will. The perseverance is telling me, well, the Four of Pentacles is a stubborn moment. The perseverance is them moving out of that stubborn moment. You've got the Tower card coming in, which is telling me they're moving out of that stubborn moment a lot quicker than you're expecting them to. When you meet together with this person, because it feels like you do seem to relate to this person. Somebody seems to be very stubborn. But I'm also getting that the way you handle it, because you know what that's like, you know what it takes to get somebody out of that because you've been there. I feel like for the Taurus, most Tauruses, you have your stubborn streak when you want it, and you know what it takes to move on from it. Because you're handling it based on your own knowledge, it's releasing the lock a lot quicker than expected. And this person has a lot of respect for you because you treated them the way they wanted to be treated. You gave them that respect. Whether they deserved it or not, you gave them that respect. Didn't matter if they deserved it. You knew it needed to be done and you did it. It released that lock a lot quicker. Now, I'm not going to say it's smooth sailing from that moment because I feel like that's unrealistic. There's going to be weird conversations. You got the King of Swords on its side. It's almost like a battle for control. It's kind of like a battle for control. It's not the easiest moment. The same energy that was stubborn, even though they release and they start moving forward, they're still wanting control of the situation, and they're having a hard time dealing with it. So there's like a negotiation period, a battle of wills. Who's going to win out? Who's going to end up actually having the control? I feel like negotiation, like, again, this seems to be something you understand. Something about this person you understand, and you're like, all right, let me think. What do they want? What do I want? How do we come to an agreement? Negotiation seems doable to a point, depending on what it is. So, you're like, and I feel like this is where in the beginning you saw this, where it's not going to be perfect, and I know it's not. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. It's not going to be perfect, but it can go better. So it's kind of playing in your head again, like, all right, so it's not going to be perfect, but what do I really need out of the situation? What do I need to make this better? What do I like? What do I really want the most? And are they going to give in to that? And if I can't have that, what else can I have? Because you're doing your best to be really realistic. Recovery, Ace of Cups, Ten of Pentacles. To me, this is very good. Recovery is telling me you're getting out of the situation basically what you can. It's not going to be perfect, but you know that. Ace of Cups, this person, like the negotiation, like you give a little, they give a little, you really get a lot of respect out of that. And they understand as long as they work with you, the situation stabilizes. When you say you'll go this far, that's as far as you're going. And if they also want that same type of respect, if they don't want trouble, if they don't want you pushing back on them, they have to adhere to the same rules. So they get something out of it, you get something out of it. It only stays as long as they, I want to say as long as they uphold the rules, as long as they stick with the situation. Because Taurus, usually once you get in a rut, you stay there. I say I'm going to do that, that's what I'm going to do. I said I'd be okay with that, so I'm going to let that go. So as long as they adhere to their side of their agreement, things are fine. And that's the Ten of Pentacles. Things really go a lot better. A lot better. Like this is like where it starts really getting good. I'm getting things really do stabilize. Whatever the negotiation was, it's like once it's settled, that's it. We're not renegotiating later. I don't feel renegotiating later. I don't think that's realistic for this situation. It's kind of like whatever it is, it is. What is done is done. That's that. That's that. But I feel like it's working fine for you at that point. So if you negotiated something where things were going to go in increments of change, then as those increments come forward, yes, that change will happen. But if you did not negotiate increments of change at that first moment, it's not going to happen. So in that negotiation period, if you said, okay, for the next 3 months we'll do it this way, then we're going to change to this, and that'll hold on for 3 months, and then we're going to change to this, and that'll hold on for 3 months, and then it'll change to this, stuff like that. You got joy coming in with the World card and the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is where I'm really getting, like, once the changes have been made, they're going to stick. This is more in the environment. Like, the other person's not going to be willing to change. They're going to get very used to things and not want to change. Again, if you put it in the beginning and remind them increments of change in the very beginning, like that's the original agreement, increments of change, original agreement. If that is there, okay. If it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. So it has to be in the original agreement. The world is telling me things are getting a lot better for you. The stress drops dramatically. It's kind of like, it's still chaos. There's still chaos here. There is. But at this point, you're like, yeah, but it's chaos that I know what to expect. It's kind of like the dog running around the kitchen table with a bunch of kids around it. It's kind of like there's going to be messes. There's going to be things on the floor. You know, everything's not going to be neat and tidy. It's going to be loud. You know that's going to happen. You're ready for it. Going into breakfast, you're like, yeah, there's going to be a mess at the end. I'm going to need to clean it up. It's going to be loud. It's going to be kind of a little bit of chaos. But you know it's going to happen. And once they move on, you'll clean it up and you'll move on with your day. You're fine. You get really comfortable. I think I've already been talking to this, but the Four of Wands, it's like you're getting comfortable in the chaos. But you see it coming. You're just kind of like, yeah, I know it's going to happen. This is how it keeps happening. You're getting used to the chaos. Getting very used to it. Things are really quick in the environment. So things are really fast and change really quickly, but it's kind of like where it's changing. It's kind of like what the changes are. It's kind of like, you know, people making decisions, people doing this, people doing that. But you're kind of like, yeah, I know they're going to do that. Yeah, I know that's going to happen. I've got my spot under control with what I have to do. But you know what's going on. You're expecting these chaos changes, like the breakfast analogy again. Now, there's going to be situations going forward after this where people kind of drop the ball. People drop the ball and they walk away from the original agreement. I almost feel like you negotiated with more than one person here, by the way. People are going to drop the ball because they get very bored of the situation and they just kind of walk away from it. There's going to be times this happens. Okay? This is not the crumbling of the situation, though. When that happens, what I see you doing, this is where you step in quick. This is the curveball from the side. You jump in quick, you handle it, and you put it back in track. These two, the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles, you'll notice they face different ways. I think that's perfect because they do things differently, very differently. You'll catch that. Once it goes off track, you'll immediately catch it and you'll put it back on track and you'll balance it back out. I feel like you just have to catch it quick, balance it fast, and go back on your normal track. Don't spend too much time on it. Put it back in line, get it back in line, and then continue on. This is just going to happen every now and then. It's just going to keep happening every now and then. When it does, catch it. It's kind of like somebody throwing a curveball from the side. Catch it, put it back where you're supposed to go, keep going. When you put it back in line where it's okay, let me put that back where it goes, good, here we go. Don't spend too much time on it. Don't like draw on it, because I've had experiences with earth signs where they just kind of keep going and going and going and going. Like they keep bringing it up. Be careful of that. That will kind of degrade the situation. Be careful. If you need to keep venting it out, vent it out away from the situation. Vent it out somewhere else with someone else. If you have a journal, if you have a friend, if you have some type of group or something where you can vent out what you're feeling, if you have to go through it a couple times, just pull it away from the actual situation. Don't let it be a part of the actual situation. You'll have a lot more success, because I feel like when you put it back in line, it goes back in line, things go back to the normal workings. There's success here. But if there's harping on it, like you keep bringing up like, oh, you dropped the ball, and every now and then you just remind them, oh, let's not drop the ball again. Be careful. Don't do that. Put them back on track. Let them go. If you need to work it out away from the situation with somebody else. You might even want to connect with somebody who can kind of be like the mediator for you, so where they can check on this person and just make sure things are still online without you seeming like the bad guy. It's kind of what I'm saying. Just be careful of that. As long as that doesn't happen, just put it back in line, keep going, you should be fine. Feels good though. I feel like this is going to go well. All right. Anything else with this? I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.